On this week's Most Craved,
Marvel Studios delivers a look at its smallest film yet, Ant-Man.
Fox schedules its Channing Tatum superhero movie just a few months after its next X-Men movie. Will this Gambit pay off? Yeah.
did you know that Scarlett Johansson is not Japanese?
What?
Welcome to Most Craved. I'm Jenna Busch with Legion of Leia.
I'm Silas Lesnick with ComingSoon.net.
And I'm William Bibbiani with CraveOnline. Hey, dudes.
Starting off, Ant-Man. I listed it on our preview show as my most anticipated movie of 2015. The trailer has arrived this week. What did you guys think?
I was sort of interested in the change in tone from what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a little more silly. And it was all dark, and it was a lot of like sad Paul Rudd. Oh, sad Paul Rudd.
Sad Paul Rudd.
Yeah.
It strikes me that this feels like it might have been trying to get on top of audience anticipation. Like, oh, it's Ant-Man. How stupid is that? Well, we're going to show you how serious this is going to be. This is going to be some serious Ant-Man shit, you guys. Like, it's going to be a big deal, and then we're going to make a joke about how it's called Ant-Man. Ha, 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 ha. That said, it looks okay. Like, it doesn't look bad. I like Paul Rudd. Michael Douglas gives good speech.
He flies on an ant.
He did ride on an ant, and I appreciated that. I think it's interesting that Ant-Man is sort of a family man, and they're really making that's an aspect of a superhero we really haven't seen before. But it's too early to say, and I don't know how much of this is what the movie is going to be like,
Right.
and what they want to assure audiences that it's not.
I loved it. I actually had a weird
course you did.
experience. I was flying back from holiday break, and I was watching it on my phone, and I was sort of like, oh, you know, this footage is stuff we saw at Comic-Con. There's not a lot here. We know what Michael Douglas looks like. And then when I got home and was actually able to hear everything, I loved it because it plays like a 90s thriller starring Michael Douglas. And the entire tone for 80% of the trailer is just a 90s thriller with Michael Douglas. And as soon as he says Ant-Man, Paul Rudd, who does this great sort of like meta audience guy, is like, huh. Because that's sort of what movies have become. The thrillers of the 90s are now comic book movies. And as we saw with Guardians of the Galaxy and Winter Soldier,
Right.
you can do these fun movies.
The thrillers of the 90s have become comic book movies, but comic book movies no longer play like thrillers from the 90s.
But I think this one will.
Yeah.
I think that's
absolutely
potentially
could.
very interesting, but it's also potentially, I don't know. This has the vibe of a superhero movie that could have been made in the 90s, back before there was a shared universe, back before there was a lot of ambition. It was just like, look, we've got the standard thriller thing. We'll throw this guy in a mask in it, and he's got a superpower. Like, it could just be that. I hope it's not, but if that's the feeling, that's my worry, is that it's just going to be another thing.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess you're right about the tone that I'm sure everyone was anticipating, like me, that it was going to be a little more comic. And, you know, when Edgar Wright was originally on it, like, it would have had that sort of feel. But so it was interesting to sort of go against what I thought I was going to see. So, I mean, I thought it was really cool. I just was sort of surprised that it wasn't what I thought it would be.
Yeah. Well, very well.
Yes.
Yes. Gambit's a movie as well.
That was a good transition.
Thank you.
I like
We're
it.
going to work on these transitions. Someday we're going to have like a seminar. We're going to have a meeting, a retreat. It's going to be a lot of fun. Everyone's talking about how Fox is coming out with X-Men: Age of Apocalypse in May of 2016, and then in October of 2016 they're going to come out with Gambit. Why is this news? They're putting out two superhero movies in the same year. Marvel does that all the time. DC's planning to do that all the time. It's going to be cool. I like Channing Tatum a lot. I think he's very hunky. He's got a nice personality. I want to see Gambit dance in this outfit. I want to see all of that. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Why is this a big deal?
I guess it just sort of allows you to speculate on when Gambit will be introduced, if he's going to be introduced in Apocalypse and all of that. But I don't know. I was sort of surprised that it was as big. I wrote it up on Legion of Leia, and it was our biggest story of the day. And I was really kind of surprised by that. You know, I know that people were then discussing once again whether Channing Tatum is really right. I love him too, but I don't know if like he screams Gambit to me or.
Well,
you
I
know,
actually
it's like-
liked Taylor Kitsch's Gambit. It was a
Yeah, I
terrible
did
movie,
too.
but he was good in it. He was fine.
Yeah.
Silas, opinions.
It's one of those things. I love Channing Tatum.
Everyone loves Channing Tatum.
He's one of the nicest people to interview. He's just a fantastic person. I don't see him as Gambit at all.
Ian Somerhalder.
But
Gambit.
it's one of those things where I've sort of like, you know, if you're going to do this, go ahead. I'm
Yeah.
happy to see more Fox X-Men movies. I like that he is personally interested. I hope not to a fault. I hope
Yeah.
it's not something that he just wants to do because he loves the character, even though he's not the right choice. But he may surprise us all.
I mean, I think he said that he's working on the accent, and I have trouble imagining Channing Tatum nailing it, to be perfectly honest. But he's got, you know what? He's got a great look. He's got a great attitude. He can be serious, but also have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I've seen him in drama, and I've seen him in fakey, silly things like the Step Up movies, which are wonderful. So I can see this, and I want to do it. I don't know. It's just interesting to me that like a release date is such a big deal. Like there was this story about how the fourth Bourne movie got pushed back by like a couple of weeks, but it was like the #1 news story on like a lot of outlets, and I'm like, really?
Well,
Like,
I mean,
Yeah.
the reason is because people are excited for the movie, and the release date
Yeah.
is sort of just the.
it's just a couple of weeks. Why is that a big
Gives you an
Well,
excuse to talk about something you're
yeah.
excited
Okay,
about.
there
I
you
think
go. That's the
really
internet
it.
for you.
That's
Okay.
the icing. The cake
Okay.
is the.
We all want to be outraged about something. Jenna, what are you outraged about?
Okay, so Ghost in the Shell. Now, I admit I haven't seen this since it came out. I know you mentioned that too. That you have too.
I was a big fan when it first showed up, and then I haven't followed like the expanded universe.
Right, but so the character of Major Motoko Kusanagi was originally going to be played by Margot Robbie, who is not Japanese, is now going to be played by Scarlett Johansson, still not Japanese. And I have to say it's one of the two things that bothers me about this. I love Scarlett Johansson. She can certainly kick ass. That is true. But it's not an unknown Japanese property. It's a beloved Japanese property. It seems really strange. And to me, I feel like whitewashing in Hollywood is a big conversation right now. It's something where
it should always be a conversation.
Yes, it should. And it sort of feels like, and I mean, I know people were talking about like the changes in race in Fantastic Four and how that was a good thing.
Right.
But the reason it bothers me here is white privilege. It's sort of like male privilege. Like say you said, okay, A Song of Ice and Fire, really popular series. We're going to make it into a show called Game of Thrones on HBO. But the character of Arya, there just aren't enough really good young actresses who could carry that off. So we're going to change it to a male role, and we're going to have a Nickelodeon star play.
Are they any good? I think is the question.
Well,
I'm kidding.
No, I know, and it bothers me.
It bothers me too, but it bothers me fundamentally. Like it doesn't bother me with Fantastic Four because the fact that Johnny Storm was white in the comics didn't really impact his character that
Exactly.
much. It didn't define him. It's
Right.
not an important characteristic. Whereas if you made the Black Panther a white dude, it wouldn't make any sense whatsoever.
Right.
So like when you do something like Ghost in the Shell, or in particular when they were trying to remake Akira, and they're
Yeah.
going to set it with like a bunch of middle-aged white guys on motorcycles, and I'm like,
No.
that was about the bombing of Hiroshima and like a sci-fi setting. You really completely missed the point. I don't remember how intrinsic Japan was, specifically Ghost in the Shell. There were a lot of sci-fi concepts that felt kind of universal, but it does strike me as
That would be my,
unnecessary.
like, I am absolutely in support of having a more diverse list of A-list stars. That being said, I don't think Ghost in the Shell needs to be set in Japan or feature Japanese characters necessarily. That would be great. And there's a very good argument to be made for going in that direction. But if it's a script that has been rewritten and it takes place in America, Scarlett Johansson's great, and she's been doing a lot of cool sci-fi stuff lately.
There are more actresses in Hollywood than just like one or two who can kick ass, and I give you Chris
And
Pine.
there's a lot
Not
of
Chris
other
Pine,
stories
sorry,
that have
Chris,
nothing.
Chris Pratt.
Yeah,
Wow.
there's a lot of other stories that have absolutely nothing to do with Ghost in the Shell that tackle very similar issues about
Right.
science and technology. Why do we have to take this Japanese thing and shove white people in it?
Well, because it's an identifiable name that people recognize, and,
Yeah.
and the fact that Scarlett Johansson's coming off Lucy, that made a lot of money, is something that's going to get this a big budget, and it may make it a better movie.
Well, on that note, we'd love to hear what you think about it. Follow us on Twitter @MostCraved and let us know what you think.